Former lowlife, but now people call me the king. Tearing it up with every lyric that I bring to the table. Because I'm willing and able. I'm in more homes than Comcast cable. I got the skill that'll rattle your brain. I'm a threat like Saddam Hussein. Everybody know my name. Joe Habib's a top soldier. Kid, they should have told you. You really need to pack a lunch. My words hit hard just like a Tyson punch. So give me a chance. I bet you I can make you dance. Show me your girl. I bet you I get in her pants. I'm breaking egos and money is what I'm stacking. Joe Habib on the mic. You know I'm down for action. Shout out to Make Beats Sir and the Beat Smith and the whole Rope-A-Dope radio crew. Yeah.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Well, this is going to be kind of a touchy subject, and I think it may trigger a lot of people. So just going to give you a heads up. This video may not be for everyone. And if you're a hypersensitive person who doesn't like to hear two sides of an issue, then might as well just go to the right-hand corner of the screen and click that X right now, because you may not like what you are about to hear. So we hear a lot about mental health issues in the sport of boxing, and not only in the sport of boxing, but in the world. We don't hear about it too much in other sports. I'm going to talk about another issue with mental health that happened in another sport, and I'm going to kind of detail it and tie it all in to the point I'm trying to make here, right? So we're hearing boxers come out now, pulling out of fights, and they're citing mental health, right? The headlines are just boxer pulls out due to mental health, right? So we don't know exactly, what's been going on with them, like in terms of, have they gone to a medical professional? Have they been diagnosed? What condition do they actually have? So a lot of this is vague, and we know boxers, right, don't always tell the truth about what's going on with their bodies in terms of what, if they're suffering from an injury. We saw Gary Russell basically come out and said that he wasn't 100%, even before the fight with Mark McSay. He was saying there was something wrong with him, and yet, he filled out the medical questionnaire and did not list what was wrong with him. So fighters are not always honest about what's going on with them. Same thing with Manny Pacquiao. Fought Floyd Mayweather, and apparently he had an issue with his shoulder. But when he filled out the medical questionnaire, he said he didn't have an issue with his shoulder. So again, are we just supposed to believe all of these athletes when we've seen evidence in the past of them not always telling them the truth, whether they're covering up an injury or whether they're saying that they have an issue that they may not really have, or maybe they do have an issue, right? But maybe they're overstating it or exaggerating it. But seems like the new phenomenon now is mental health. We've seen Danny Garcia come out and talk about it recently. And everyone knows Ryan Garcia has talked about it. And most recently, it's Adrian Broner. And it's ironic enough that there's always seemed to be an underlying motivation, or there always seems to be questionable timing when they come out with these claims, right? Danny Garcia, his dad was saying, he was going through depression because of COVID. Well, again, everyone wasn't feeling good during COVID. I'm sure Errol Spence wasn't feeling good during COVID. So, when Angel Garcia was talking about Danny Garcia's state of mind before the Errol Spence fight, saying that was the reason for his performance, and if he wasn't going through those issues, that he would have beaten Errol Spence. So it's kind of convenient for him to come out and say those things coming off of a loss, trying to soften the blow for his son, and trying to put out the image or portray the narrative that Danny Garcia wasn't 100%. Well, was Errol Spence 100% coming off of a car accident? Possibly, the beginning stages of his eye injury, whatever. So a lot of these situations just seem to be too convenient, right? For me, anyways. I I think it's okay to question some of this stuff. Now, does everyone go through depression? Does everyone have ups and downs in life? Are we always happy? Right? Do we get down during periods of time in our life? Obviously, Danny Garcia was coming off of a loss to Errol Spence, and it was probably the most decisive loss in his career. I don't think it was a close fight at all. I don't think it was really that competitive. You know, other losses that he had, they were competitive fights, but this time he was beaten thoroughly. So obviously, this was a blow to him, right? So maybe this did kind of shock him a little bit, kind of did bring him down. But again, was it bad enough for him to say that he has mental health issues, a mental health problem? Again, here's the thing. Are these fighters being diagnosed? Right? Are they going to medical professionals? Because Mike Tyson, I remember, came here to Massachusetts and visited the Mayo Clinic and was being evaluated by a physician over at the Mayo Clinic. And he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, right? So these fighters are just come out and say, I'm having mental health issues, but what do they really have? Is this really clinical depression? Because clinical depression is really serious, right? When you have bipolar disorder, you're a manic depressive, right? Or you have severe anxiety issues. You can't function day to day. Some of these people that have these disorders can't even get out of bed in the morning, right? I dated a girl who was manic, right? And she was on medication and she couldn't work. She was, she had to go on disability. And I'm saying, so is it wrong for us to question these fighters when we look at the circumstances surrounding the timing of when they're coming out claiming these things? How convenient was it for Ryan Garcia to claim mental health because he didn't want to fight Jojo Diaz? And then when he came back, fought 2 soft touches, right? And never rescheduled that Jojo Diaz fight, right? Then we're hearing Adrian Broner come out and he's citing mental health issues, but in interviews he's saying, "Oh, why can't Floyd Mayweather fight me in an exhibition where we both can make 8 figures?" So the minute that fight with Omar Figueroa was signed, he was already complaining about it. He was already having issues about it. He was already very negative about the whole event. He didn't seem too enthused about having a fight Omar Figueroa, right? Seemed like he didn't like the conditions of the whole situation, right? And then he pulls out of the fight. And then people were saying that there was reports about him being heavy, about him not being out of shape. So again, when we question these things, all of a sudden we're shamed. We're just supposed to believe everything. But once again, I come out and I say, where is the diagnosis? Who's evaluating these guys, right? Are they providing documentation, right, to the commissions, right? Is this just an easy get out of jail free card that fighters are going to use now when they sign for a fight and they start camp and they decide, hey, you know what? I just don't want to do this now for whatever reason. Whether it be they're having issues with their weight, whether they just don't feel like doing it, they're unmotivated, they sign for a fight, and then they become unmotivated for the fight. So for people to just come out and say they're having mental health problems without really being evaluated, without really going to a medical professional, without really being diagnosed with anything, and just because they don't feel good one day or because they're going through a tough time because of a circumstance in life. Like I said, everyone goes through ups and downs, right? Same thing with Tyson Fury back in 2015 or so, after when he was complaining about mental health issues and citing his mental health problems. Let's look at the circumstances surrounding that, right? He gets stripped by the IBF, right? He was in the process of being investigated by UCAD, right? So he more than likely was going to be suspended and probably stripped by the other sanctioning bodies while under investigation because of the PED use that was discovered in the Christian Hammer fight, right? So was he suffering from clinical depression, or was all these things, these negative things going on in his life due to his own fault, not not due to anyone else's fault, due to his fault? So was the timing just right for him to just just walk away from boxing and just cite mental health issues? Now, obviously, you're not going to be feeling good when you have all those things going on in your life. There's going to be some stress from that, right? But once again, is Tyson Fury, right, really suffering from clinical depression? Does he have mental health issues? Has he been diagnosed? And if so, what does he suffer from? Is he manic? Is he bipolar? Histrionic personality disorder? Narcissistic personality disorder? Antisocial personality disorder? Like, what do these fighters and athletes have, right? Because the timing to me is just too convenient. And then people are going to come out and say, oh, well, you don't understand. You know, like, again, when you put your business out there, right? Because a lot of people say, well, it's nobody's business. No person should have to reveal their medical health records and this and that. Okay, there are HIPAA regulations, right? But if you're going to go out there and you're going to put all your information out there on social media, right, and you're going to look for attention, then people are going to question you. So if you don't want people to know what's going on and you want to keep everything private, then stop putting your personal information on social media. Stop looking for validation from others, right? And I'm going to say this too. Like, a lot of people say, oh, well, this guy's saying he's going to commit suicide. He's on social media. Listen, people that commit suicide don't tell you they're going to commit suicide, right? They don't want to tell. They don't want to put it out there. They don't want to be talked out of committing suicide. When someone is that low, right? I've talked to therapists before, and they say that when people commit suicide, nobody knows that they're going to commit suicide. That's why when someone does commit suicide, like when Robin Williams committed suicide, everyone was like, wow, that was a shock. Was Robin Williams tweeting out that he was going to kill himself? No, right? So again, a lot of this, honestly, guys, is attention-seeking behavior. Now, you can argue that that's a mental problem. Okay, maybe not. But again, are these people being officially evaluated and diagnosed? Or are they just saying, I'm suffering from mental health issues? Listen, we all, like I said, I wake up sometimes and I have a bad day. Things happen to me and I get depressed. Everyone does it. But you have to ask yourself, do you suffer from a clinical mental disorder? Have you been evaluated? Right? My father, may he rest in peace, right, was diagnosed with anxiety issues. My father was evaluated. He was medicated, right? So I know what real mental health issues are, right? I know what it is when someone suffers from a real mental illness. So if these people are just coming out and saying they're suffering from mental health problems because they're having a bad day or they're going through a tough time, or they're in a situation that they don't want to be in and they want to get out of jail free card, then they're really taking away from the people who are really sick. They're really minimizing the severity of this issue in regards to people who are really going through the shit. So a lot of people don't want to come out and talk like I'm talking right now. They don't want to say the things I'm saying because, again, you're going to be shamed. Oh, how could you question this? How could you question that? Because the circumstances and timing just don't add up, right? The circumstances and timing just don't add up, right? When you've seen people who really have mental health problems, right? When my dad had mental health problems, he couldn't work, right? A lot of times he couldn't get out of bed, spent some time in a clinic, you know, and he wasn't out there going on vacations like Ryan Garcia. He wasn't out there going to parties like Tyson Fury, right? He wasn't out there parading around town and going to fights and eating and drinking and getting drunk and getting all coked up, right? Oh, well, everyone handles it different. Yeah, okay. Everyone handles it different. But let's be honest. When you're feeling shitty and you're not happy, you don't go out and party. You don't go out and go on vacations. You don't post pictures on social media letting everyone see how you're partying and having a good time. That's not what you do. People who are really sick, they go into isolation. When Mike Tyson was going through his shit, right, and it was being reported, the only reason why it was being reported because when he went to the Mayo Clinic, they reported all that shit, right? They put it out there. Tyson didn't put it out there. He didn't post pictures of himself. He didn't go out there and no one took pictures of him out there partying and having a good time. So Ryan Garcia pulls out of a fight citing mental health issues, and then he goes on vacation smiling and having fun on the beach with his girlfriend. I mean, this shit just doesn't add up. Adrian Broner pulls out of the fight with Omar Figueroa, but previously there's been reports of him having problems making weight, being out of shape, and then he's complaining and talking about why doesn't Floyd Mayweather fight him in an exhibition where we can both make 8 figures? Come on, guys, it just doesn't add up, right? It just doesn't add up, and you're not really seeing this in other sports. There's been one incident that I've seen it, and this is what Naomi Osaka, and let's going to pull this up a little bit. So apparently, Naomi Osaka, I think it was back in 2021. She didn't want to do press for the French Open, and they fined her $15,000 and threatened her with the expulsion for deciding not to speak to the media after her first round victory. Osaka, who is a 4-time Grand Slam champion and one of the biggest names in tennis, has released a statement last week saying she would not participate in press conferences during the French Open, citing they had an adverse impact on her mental health. The Board of Grand Slam tennis tournaments issued her with a warning that she would be exposing herself to possible further code of conduct infringement consequences if she did not engage with the press during the rest of the tournament, right? So initially, she was going to play in the tournament, but she just didn't want to do the press before the tournament because she said it had an adverse effect on her health. So because they were saying to her, well, hey, listen, you have to, this is part of the requirement. You have to engage with the press. You have to uphold your press obligations. And she didn't want to do that, right? She didn't want to do that, so they weren't gonna allow that. What made her any better than everyone else? So you're saying you had mental health issues, but you were going to play in the tournament. You just didn't want to do the press. So again, is this just an excuse because she is a shy person? That's fine. Okay, I get it. She doesn't like doing press, but everyone else has to do the press. But because you're the number one female tennis player in the world, you don't want to do the press. So do you just say I have mental health issues and now, you don't have to do the press while everyone else has to? So that, the tennis world was kind of split on that. A lot of people supported her. And again, I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, but again, she was going to play in the tournament. She was probably going to win it, right? But she didn't want to do the press. So the mental health issues weren't bad enough for you to not be able to play in the tournament, but you just didn't want to do the press. So again, do you see the problem here, guys? Do you see the inconsistencies here? Do you see why we have a right to question some of this stuff, right? So let's look at some of the comments here. There's a former UK number one seed, Andrew Castle, told the LBC, "I think she has got this completely wrong." He added, "I played in 50 countries and lost in every one of them. I hated myself, but there are obligations. You shouldn't sign up for the tour and go play because it's part of the written obligations on the tour that you speak to the broadcast media, because you would not be rewarded the way you are, and you wouldn't be playing the sport you are playing if the whole infrastructure did not exist beneath the player. It's not just about hitting tennis balls," right? So she wanted to play, but she thought that she wasn't obligated to talk to the press like everyone else, right? And then Billie Jean King, a 39-time Grand Slam winner turned coach, agreed in part, right? I fully admire and respect what Naomi is doing with their platform, so I'm a little torn as I try to learn from both sides of the situation, right? While it is important that everyone has a right to speak their truth, I have always believed that as a professional athlete, we have a responsibility to make ourselves available to the media. In our day, without the press, nobody would know who we are or what we thought, right? There is no question they helped build and grow our sport to what it is today. So again, guys, I mean, so she was going to play in the tournament, but she just didn't want to do the press. So we have to question that. We have to question that. And this is no knock on Naomi Osaka, right? I like her. She's a phenomenal tennis player. I'm not going to take that away from her. But she didn't want to do the press, but she was going to play in the tournament. So which one is it? Adrian Broner wanted to fight an exhibition with Floyd Mayweather for 8 figures and was complaining why he wasn't offered that. So he was ready to do that, right? But he didn't want to fight Omar Figueroa. It was a tough fight for probably not the money that he wanted, right? So once again, is mental health being used as a get out of jail free card for athletes who don't want to do certain things, or who did not prepare properly for a specific event? And again, we know that after a while, the wear and tear of the training, the pressure of having to win all the time, yeah, that's going to affect anybody, whether you have mental health problems or not. You could be the strongest person in the world, the most healthy person in the world. That is going to have a wear and tear on you. But once again, does that mean you have a clinical mental health problem? Because again, think about this, guys. It's not about just having a bad day, a bad week, or even a bad month. If you have a clinical mental health illness that was diagnosed by a medical professional, again, my dad was diagnosed with anxiety, right? He was diagnosed with clinical depression. He was on medication, right? He had to stay at a hospital for a month, all right? When he came home, he was out of work for like almost a year, right? Took a lot for him to get back to normal, or quote unquote, as close to normal as he could, right? He wasn't going on vacations. He wasn't going out telling the world what was going. He didn't want. He only talked to people close to him, right? He wasn't telling his issue to total strangers. He wasn't meeting people and saying, "Hey, my name is Joe Habib. I suffer from mental health," like these people are. These people want to tell the whole world, right? They're seeking for attention and validation for it. Again, oh, well, everyone's different. Again, all right, everyone is different, but let's be honest. Let's just be honest. When you're feeling down about something, you usually keep it to yourself, or you talk to people close to you. People don't go and tell their issues to total strangers who don't even know them, who don't even know who they are, right? It's just not behavior that is, it's not the norm. Okay? It's just not the norm. It's not something people do. When people are feeling like shit, they don't go on vacations, right? They don't party, right? More often than not, they keep to themselves, right? So I don't want to hear this shit that everyone's different, because again, it's not adding up, guys. All right. I'm going to be honest with you. Tyson Fury probably was going through a tough time. Obviously, he wasn't feeling the greatest at that particular time. He just got his IBF belt stripped from him. He was under investigation by UCAD. I don't think anyone would feel good, right? He was going to get his British boxing license suspended pending a full investigation, right? I'm sure a lot of the commissions in the United States would follow suit with what was going on with UCAD and the BBC, right? Because let's face it, there were a lot of issues going on in Tyson Fury's life at that time. Yeah, he put on a lot of weight. Yeah, so he showed a lack of discipline. He showed a lack of motivation. He showed that he didn't give a shit, and he let himself go. That's fine, right? But once again, was he clinically diagnosed? Was he clinically evaluated, right? And what is his actual mental health problem? Was he depressed, or does he suffer from clinical depression? Because once again, he put himself in a situation in which he created himself, right? So every time someone makes a poor choice and they have to suffer the consequences of that poor choice or poor choices, do they just get to pull that get out of jail free card and say, hey, I only did it because I had mental health problems. Give me a break. Come feel sorry for me. Come excuse me for my inappropriate behavior because I have mental health issues. Is that going to be the norm here? Is that going to be the new thing every time someone doesn't want to go through with a contract that they signed? Just like Naomi Osaka signed a contract to play in the French Open, knowing she would have had to do the press, but then she decides, I don't want to do the press, but I can still play in the tournament, right? Again, that's questionable. So if you're really that sick in terms of mental health, if you really have the mental health issue, then why would you play in the tournament but just not do the press? Right? You can't have it both ways, because you knew one came with the other when you signed up to play in the French Open, right? So a lot of these claims are just too convenient. I think we have the right to question them, right? I think we have the right to question them. Fury, like I said, Fury, one way or the other, he was going to have to walk away, because I think he would have been suspended anyways, right? So I think he tried to soften the blow for himself. I think he tried to put a spin on it, because he knew he was going to be suspended by the BBC, right? And he knew that, and at that time, he wasn't really fighting in the United States. So there was a great chance if he decided, okay, I'm going to come over here and fight in the United States, right, that a lot of these commissions wouldn't approve him because he's under investigation by UCAD, right? So it would have been a bad look, right? I'm sure that there was a possibility the other sanctioning bodies would have followed suit alongside the IBF, and they would have stripped him too, knowing that he was under investigation with UCAD, right? So he was already in a tough situation one way or the other, and he was probably going to have to walk away from the sport regardless. So what did he say? Okay, well, I'm going through mental health issues. No, you're going through a tough time that anyone would have gone through regarding your situation. So I question whether or not Tyson Fury has a clinical mental health problem that has been diagnosed by a medical professional. And if so, what have you done? Have you seen a therapist? Right? They asked him, do you go to a therapist? Do you take medication? You know what his answer was? No, I just handle it myself. So how serious is it? If you can handle it yourself, is it really that big of a problem? Right? Ryan Garcia pulls out of several fights, right? Calls out fighters that he has no intention of fighting, right? Is this mental health claim from Ryan Garcia just to get out of jail free card so his fans can just say, hey, well, he would have fought him, but he just had mental health problems. But meanwhile, he's on a beach with a beautiful girl having fun. Okay. Adrian Broner is sitting there, signed for a fight. Looks out of shape. Looks nice. Looks plump. Looks like he really hasn't been training. Complained since the moment the fight was signed. Had issues with everything. And then on an interview, tells on himself and says, "Why can't I get an exhibition fight for 8 figures with Floyd Mayweather? We can make a boatload of money, right?" And then lo and behold, the week before the fight, he pulls out because he knew he was out of shape, in my opinion. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't believe it. I don't believe these guys have been clinically evaluated by a medical professional. I don't think they've been clinically diagnosed. And I suspect, I don't know, I suspect very strongly that none of them even went to a therapist. So when you guys you media people out there want to interview these people, you don't have to be an asshole about it, but just say, "Hey, Danny, you say you've been going through some mental health problems. What have you been doing to deal with that? Have you gone to a therapist? Have you actually had a clinical diagnosis? And if so, what is that diagnosis?" Go deep into it, right? And I guarantee you, they're gonna say, "Oh, well, I didn't do that." Or they're gonna snap at you and say, "Oh, that's none of your business." Oh, it's none of my business, then don't put it out there. If none of this shit is my business, right? None of this shit is my business, right? Then why is it being plastered all over social media for total strangers who don't know you from a can of paint, but you feel the need that you have to tell me and millions of other people out there that you have a problem. But then when we ask you, what is the problem? Oh, it's none of your business. Do you understand how stupid that sounds? And then Tyson Fury tells everyone, "Oh, I'm going to donate my purse to charity." And then when they ask him, "Have you donated your purse to charity?" "Oh, that's none of your business." Well, if it was none of my business, then why did you fucking put it out to millions of people and tell people, the whole world, that that's what you were going to do if it was no one's business? Do you see the fucking stupidity and the hypocrisy of all this bullshit? These people are using social media for attention. So is attention-seeking behavior a mental health problem as well? Yes. But guess what else attention-seeking behavior is? It's a way to monetize yourself. Because when you get clicks and you get people watching you, right? That's more pay-per-views you can sell as a fighter. That's more people who buy tickets to your fights, right? So you say to yourself, "Oh, well, B, isn't attention-seeking behavior a mental health problem?" Yeah, it is. It's called it's tied in deeply with histrionic personality disorder. But are these guys doing it because they have an issue, or do they just want attention so they can get their name in the headline, so they can sell pay-per-views and they can sell tickets at the box office? Is this all just a fucking game, guys? Is it a sham? Are they playing us? That's what you have to fucking ask yourselves. Are we being played here? I know I'm not being played, because I'm going to come right out and say it. I don't believe any of them. I don't believe any of them, because their behavior is contradicting their claims. It doesn't add up to me. Well, Beeb, you're not a mental health professional yourself. How the fuck do you know? My dad was hospitalized for mental health issues. Right? I dated a girl who was manic. Couldn't even work. Oh, well, everyone's not the same. Yeah, we're not the same, but we're very similar. We're not as different. We're not as different as society wants to tell you that we are. Right? We're not as different as society wants, as what tells you who we are. As men, right? As men, real men, not the social construct of a man, but as men, what do we want? We want to be successful, right? We want to be strong. We want to be masculine. We want to lead in a relationship. That is our instinctive gender role, right? That is our biological role, right? Whether we achieve that or not is a different story, but that's what we all want deep down inside. So we're not all that different as men. Some of us may be stronger, more masculine, we may have more masculine traits than others, but deep down inside of you, if you ask any man what he wanted, he would want to be successful. He would want to be able to walk into a club and look at a girl and point and fuck anything in that club that he could, right? And he would want to have status, right? That's what any man would want to be. So we're not really as different as everyone says we are, right? In terms of what our biological instincts are and our biological gender roles are. I know this is another can of worms that I'm opening up, but it is what it is, bro. It is what it is. Any man out there wants to be 6 feet or over, wants to be shredded, right? Wants to be financially successful, right? Wants to have status and wants to be able to walk down the street and have every girl look at him, look at a girl and have every girl want to fuck him. That's what every guy wants deep down inside. Oh, well, not everyone's the same. Again, we are extremely similar. We're not as different as people want to say. We've created these social constructs because we live in a world now where everyone gets a trophy, right? Not everyone can be that top 1%, right? But now the people that aren't that top 1%, they're trying to say that the top 1% isn't really what they want. Anyone, you could say whatever you want, but a lot of people would want to be an Anthony Joshua just lost 2 fights in a row. That's true. But Anthony Joshua is an Adonis. He's a Greek god. Look at him. He's an extremely successful human being. He's not in the top 1%. He's in the top 0.2%. This is an elite human being. I'm not lying. There's 1,300 registered heavyweights in the world right now. And this guy's in the top 3 of that, arguably, right? He's in the top. He's above elite in terms of human beings. Now, again, you want to compare him to the greats of all time? That's a tougher argument. That's fine. But you could say whatever you want about Anthony Joshua. In his era, he's an elite heavyweight. A lot of you may not want to hear this either. Deontay Wilder, in his era, is an elite heavyweight. Alexander Usyk is an elite heavyweight. Tyson Fury is an elite heavyweight. Now, you can argue which one is better than the other, but they're all elite for this era, right? They're all elite for this era. So that's why when I criticize sometimes fighters, when I hear people say, oh, well, they're human just like us. We're all very similar in certain ways, but we're also very different as well. We're similar in the fact that we all have the same, very similar needs, wants, and desires. But unfortunately, genetics plays a great part in who we are. And not everyone is going to be born with the genetics of an Anthony Joshua. Not everyone's going to be born with the gifts, the natural gifts of a Tyson Fury. And not everyone's going to be born with the power of Deontay Wilder, where he can just touch someone with that right hand and put them to sleep. These are all gifts that we don't have, right? These are all gifts that we don't have. But because these people, these men, these athletes have these specific gifts, right? That's what makes them special, right? So deep down inside, in my opinion, and I think it's pretty close to irrefutable, we would all want what they have, right? Oh, well, there's more to life than just being rich. There's more to life than money. There's more to life than having sex with a lot of girls. Come on, bro. Who's telling you that shit? Who's telling you that shit? People who don't really have the money, people who aren't getting the girls, right? Oh, it's okay. It's okay to be fat because it only matters what you are in the inside. Nah, come on, bro. I tell you the truth. I tell you the truth. I was fat before. I was fucking almost, I was 280, close to 300 pounds. I didn't like it. I didn't feel good about myself. Right? So, again, all this shit matters, guys. All this shit matters. So, you can take this with a grain of salt. As Dwyer likes to say, the opinion you should follow should be your own. And this is just advice from a complete stranger online, but it is what it is, guys. I mean, it's let's be real about it. Let's be real about it. So it is what it is, man. Let me know what you guys think. Am I wrong here about this whole mental health thing? Am I being too hard? Or am I saying things that a lot of people think but just don't want to come out and say? Right? Am I saying things that people think that a lot of people just don't want to say? That's what I want to know. Am I off base here? Do you guys believe 100% that these fighters that are coming out with mental health problems really do have these mental health issues? Or are they just looking for a get out of jail free card? Then you say, Beeb, why do you care? Well, why do you care that I care? That's even a bigger question. But I'm gonna answer the question, why do I care? Because there are people out there that are really suffering from mental health issues. And you're diminishing, right? You're diminishing the seriousness of true mental health issues by having people just come out and saying that because they're in a bad situation, they're having a bad day, or they're going through a bad time temporarily, that automatically they have a clinical mental health problem. When there are really, truly people out there that are suffering from true mental health, right? There are really and truly people suffering from true mental health. And those are the ones we should be caring about more so than anyone, than a professional athlete who's making millions of dollars, right? Who's just looking for attention just so they can put themselves out there and make their image bigger and better. Because the more people that say, oh, the more people that click on that Instagram post or that tweet, or the more people that click on that YouTube video, that's more exposure for that athlete. It makes them more popular, right? And it gives them validation. And they're doing it to try to enhance their own image, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. So when Tyson Fury comes out and says he has mental health problems, right? So then when he comes back and achieves things, he could say, look what I've done after suffering from mental health. He's doing it in an attempt to enhance his own accomplishments, to make what he's doing even more prestigious than I mean, these are great accomplishments that he's doing, but he's trying to enhance these accomplishments even more by saying, look what I came back from, right? In my opinion. So I think it's all a marketing. I think a lot of this is marketing, guys. A lot of this is marketing. It's attention-seeking behavior in an attempt to enhance their images, right? I think they're trying to monetize it, in my opinion. Sounds shitty, but these are strong accusations, but I just believe that that's what it is, man. That's what I believe it is. And if I'm wrong, Ryan Garcia, Tyson Fury, Danny Garcia, Adrian Broner, right? Naomi Osaka. Show me the medical diagnosis report. Show me the medical reports that you've been diagnosed with a clinical mental health problem, right? And tell me what you're doing to tell me what you're doing to deal with that mental health problem. Don't tell me you're taking time off and then you're going on vacation and partying it up. You're doing lines of coke like Tyson Fury, drinking it up. You know? Don't tell me that's what you're doing, right? Because that just shows me that you're just full of shit. Don't go on a vacation with a beautiful woman like Ryan Garcia, lie on a beach having fun, smiling, playing all these games. I mean, like I said, my dad wasn't doing that. Other people that I know that suffered from clinical mental health problems that actually saw therapists and were clinically diagnosed and were taking medication. Some were taking medication, some weren't. Some were going to therapy. Some were, being part of groups. They were doing a lot of different things to combat their issues. But I don't remember anyone going to parties and going on vacations and showing it to the world that they're partying and stuff. I don't remember all these things, right? And I don't want to hear everyone's different because, again, like I said, we are different, but we're also very similar as well. We're also very similar as well, and we're not as different as you want to claim that we are. All right. So I mean that's about it, guys. I don't have much more to say about this, right? I don't have much more to say about this, but I don't feel that we should be shamed if we're questioning this because, again, this is serious claims these people are making, right? And the timing just seems too convenient for me, and the actions after their behavior after claiming they're suffering from mental health is very questionable, to say the least. It's not adding up to me. Until next time, Beaver's out. Talk to y'all soon. Have a great day, man. Peace out, everyone, and stay safe. And if you are really and truly suffering from mental health issues, get help. Get help. And I will just give you a little advice. Don't search for that help on social media, right? Don't search for that help on social media. Go to a real specialist and go and get help from a licensed professional. Don't try to get help from some fucking stranger on YouTube or on fucking Instagram or on Twitter. All right? That's not the place to go. All right? Peace out, everyone. Take care.